Hello and welcome to Adventures in Interior Design. Today we're going to look at making the bubble diagrams into block diagrams. And we can take a look at our module in 7.2. Here are the steps. So last week we've been working with making bubble diagrams that indicate what the client would like to see. And we're going to take those, and in this episode we're going to make them into square foot calculations that we may create a plan, and we can use these square foot calculations to make sure that we have enough room for everything that we're intending to put into the second floor. Let's take a quick look at the textbook and see some of the helpful instructions that we can find there. Okay, so I'm taking a look here at page 35, and this is in the Residential Interior Design book. On page 35, we have isolated what the owner and the client is seeking in their work. For each person that we have, it's different for the client that you chose, but the process is the same. And then we order these different bubbles, and then we've created the importance of the bubble and how proximity they are to other things. And this time we want to take these and create an actual square footage needed. Here's the stairs equal the stairs. We have the entry space, porch, not so much for us, but to the other living spaces, and we're going to create this. And it says the final blocking diagram with room shown approximately accurate in proportion and oriented as they will be placed within the site. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have so far. Okay, I have my final project I've been working on, and I have all my bubble diagrams, and I have what I choose to make for this layout of your final, and this is on the second floor. Today I'm picking on the kitchen, so we're going to look at making this kitchen fit into the space and have square footage for all the programming that goes into a kitchen. Let's take a look at the final result. Will be this nicely graphed little sections that show the square foot calculations. Okay, so we're going to take from the bubble diagram, the next step is to create these. And the block diagram is different from other things because it's the next step to the bubble diagram, and this really starts to carve out real space for us. It's not so important on the final project for us, but in the future you'll be planning in very odd spaces, and it'll be good for you to know how to make square footage calculations. And when we're going to do the square foot, this will lead to the next thing, which will be a rough layout of our particular second floor unit. But let's look at making these. The next thing you'll need to do this assignment is to pull off that list of suggested room sizes. So let's flip over to that. Okay, within this module you'll scroll down and you'll kind of see the instructions for this. We're going to turn to base drawing, and we're going to create these space diagrams. And what you need is this document right here. You could punch this and you will get this document that's also I put up as a JPEG. And this is a typical room sizes for each kind of room. So if we pick on the kitchen, depending on if we want a large, medium, or small kitchen, and of course that will depend on your client, space available, and anything else that might determine how the kitchen is laid out. Could even be a size of the kitchen that they're looking for. So how we take these is we're going to do a square foot calculation. Here's our bubble diagrams. But we're going to take the room size mentioned, and we're going to punch in the two numbers, length times width, so that we can come up with a square foot. When we create the square foot, then we're going to come down, and for each room on our bubble diagram, we need to make this little list of square foot things that we can cut out. A quick way of doing this, and something that I find very helpful, is to use graph paper. And let me demonstrate that. Now, utilizing drafting paper, I can make quick work of this by looking from the room size sheet. And since the floor plan that I'm working on is quarter size, this also will help quarter size. And grid paper will tell you what it is, or you can also measure it with your architect scale, one little grid, to make sure that you're on the right scale. Because there are at least 3 different types of grid paper. So I could do the 12 by 16 equal 192 square foot. I can make quick work of it by doing 12 of these. Okay, so I will go from here to here and then come over 16 feet. And it'll be right here, which is 192 square feet for this, and then I can block it in. Hopefully I'm not going too fast and make a mistake, but careful preparation. I now have one block of space that equals the 192, and I like to write, the proper way is to write the room name, kitchen, and then at the lower left hand, 192, and that will stand for the square feet. So now I have a playing card. I can cut this out. If I wanted to lay it on my plan, I could trace over it directly onto my floor plan. Let's see if I have my floor plan. That's the bubble diagram, but I'm looking for the base. Let me do one more, since I'm set up for it. Okay, laundry room, 10 by 16. Come down. by 16. To there, so this is a big, huge laundry room, so I probably will come back and cut this one down. I chose the laundry room from that list, and I think I've got a bigger one than the kitchen, which can happen, but not often. So that would be a size determination. Now, if I want to use these, perhaps I'm not really sure if this is my final outcome, but I could take the kitchen out of my drawing, and down here what I have is actually one of the completed plans of the past, but I just want to make sure that we have this kitchen. Were I to want to move the kitchen from the middle of the house to, say, a different end, maybe the client likes to look outside while they cook onto the full downstairs full front of the house. So you have these little pieces that you can move around. You could easily trace over them. So that's one of the purposes of why you want to do this for each room. You could use a quarter scale, but you could also play on a smaller scale too, because I did let you have access to a smaller scale, but this one's not to scale, so I guess. But what's most important is somewhere you collect these, and you can make these measured at 1/8 scale, or you can use the handy grid paper that kind of draw 1-to-1 real size, and then that will help you to lay out your final project, which shows the small size, but that you're going to fit each one of these into this space. So that gives me So that concludes the blocking diagram. So you're going to have one block for each room. Now, it's not so important that for this project because you kind of handed the project, but in other cases you may not know what square footage or what the client wants or how the house could be arranged differently. So this helps you to at least get a foothold on creating block diagrams.